Welcome to the microcurrent with me. Today we're going to be doing the lift probe, and we're combining the lift with microcurrent gloves. So what I'd like to do is really work in the very beginning with the gloves, and we're going to work at releasing the fascia along the neck and the jawline. This is always important, whether you're working on yourself or you're working with your clients. You always want to release the resistant kind of fascia or the connective tissue. And I talk about this a lot because the fascia houses the muscle. And if the fascia is dehydrated or it's restricting, your muscle is not going to hold the position that you put it in with the microcurrent. We can tone the muscle, but the fascia is always going to win. So one of the biggest things we do is we're going to start more on our décolleté. So if you have a tank top on, that's great. If you don't and you want to take your shirt off, just turn off your camera and follow along. But we're going to be releasing the fascia. If you don't have gloves, that's okay too. What you're going to do is you're going to just use your hands and release from there. And we'll kind of go over that. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is the lift is meant to go with many, many machines. And we now have some really cool attachments that allow it to go into other machines. So this is a probe from the Beautiful Image, and it's kind of their body probe. But now we have these attachments that fit in here and allow the lift to work from the Beautiful Image. If you have a Pico toner and you have these type of ends, these ends pull off and you have pins underneath those. So you can use you can have your gloves on working the microcurrent with the Pico toner, and then you can take those tips off with the gloves and you can put the pins into the cords of the lift. If you have the Pico Wave or anything like that, you probably got this attachment. This goes in the Pico Wave, the X3845. The Mile Lift has attachments with the pins that the cords easily go into. So the unit is fairly universal and fits most machines. If you have the Jeunesse, we have adapters for the Jeunesse machine as well. So go ahead and kind of pull your hair back, get it up. You've already prepped with the Anma running through the scalp. I always kind of say prep for success. That's going to mean using your water-based products, using your peptides that you like, and getting the skin just really ready with the circulation. If you're using gloves, make sure you have the insulating gloves underneath. So we're going to start out with gloves and microcurrent. I'm going to use my hands, and then I'm going to use the microcurrent with the lift, because I want to show you just by releasing the fascia with our hands, with a massage, how easy it is. You don't always need to have microcurrent. So let's just kind of go back to the cervical vertebrae, and let's just kind of feel the cervical vertebrae all the way up to the occipital bone. And that occipital area is that area that you lay your head in the shampoo bowl. And that just kind of starts to get really, really tight. So I want you to stick your thumbs in that, and I want you to kind of rotate up, kind of rotating up. Kind of rotate up into this area, really massaging this. And as you're right next to the spine, right into that cervical vertebrae, we're kind of warming this up. I want you to come out towards your ears. Both thumbs are traveling towards the opposite ears. And now we're in a real tender area, you probably feel. And we're actually going to go up into that occipital area. For those of you that are just joining, we're on microcurrent gloves right now, or if you don't want to use your gloves and you just want to start with the lift, like I'm doing, I'm just using my hands, and we're stretching out the occipital area right underneath kind of the very top vertebrae, the C1. And we're stretching this out. And we do this because the neck gets so tight. Now, I want you to like, almost like you're feathering, you're kneading up right near that spine, okay? And now we're gonna combine some movement with your head. So we're moving our thumbs, and now I want you to lean your head down. And as your thumbs are moving up, you're bringing your chin towards your décolleté, really feeling like a nice stretch. When our neck or our vertebrae are off and we're leaning forward, even just a half an inch, the head is the heaviest appendage. So the further the neck falls forward or is protruded forward, even when, if you're an esthetician and you're in the aesthetic room, your neck is holding 40 pounds. So that's always nice just to release this neck area. And as we start to do that, we're going to kind of come down, and now let's just stretch this area. We all kind of do this kind of stretching. And then I want you to choose one side or the other. I'm going to choose my left side, and I'm going to anchor right at the top. And now I'm holding at about a level 2. I talk about levels quite often. A level 1 is just something like this. It's just very light, almost like a lymphatic. Level 2, I'm literally moving the tissue along the muscle. Level 3, I'm moving the muscle. So I'm at a level 2 on the neck. So I'm moving that skin. And now I'm just going to stretch it in opposing directions. And I'm just stretching. I want you just to be patient and understand the value of releasing the neck. Every time we lift a grocery bag, a computer, a backpack, anytime we use our arms like this, we're contracting these muscles in our neck. And this contraction pulls the face down. So the longer you spend releasing the neck and the décolleté, the higher a lift you will get with your clients. And I know I've been there. I'm working on clients and I just want to like skip right over the neck and get right to the good stuff, right to the stuff that I can plump and lift. But the value that your client's going to get and the value you're going to get by releasing this neck is amazing. So we're stretching here. I want you to now tilt your head to the opposite direction. And I want you to kind of look down. And we're just going to hold that. And when you feel it's like you've kind of created some space and just some stretch, I want you to hold it for 3 more seconds. It's always important you remember to breathe. Now we're going to come to the center of the neck and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to kind of hold, and we're going to let the top hand go up right underneath the cheekbone, and we're going to let the bottom hand go to about midpoint of the décolleté. And this is because the platysma runs actually from here all the way up here. It is a giant muscle that kind of comes up and holds in here. So we're going to kind of just start at the belly in that neck area. And I don't have anything on my skin right now. So for me, it's a real organic stretch. With the gloves, you get just a great benefit of stretching the fascia, but you're also getting the benefit of the microcurrent. And that microcurrent, remember, is the hydrogen and the hydroxyl. And both the hydrogen coming in to create more ATP. This strengthens the resiliency of the skin, the thickness of the skin. It initiates the protein synthesis that creates, collagen and elastin. And as you're stretching, your hands should just like quietly just kind of separate from one another. And if you want to increase the stretch, try tilting your head back. It's not a jerky movement. Work with the body. We're just doing a nice stretch. Taking deep breaths in and out. Feeling that going down. Every now and then you hit a point of resistance and the hands just don't move. And that's okay, you know, but still there's movement underneath. All in the little fascial network, there's still things going on. Just kind of holding. Breathing into it. Maybe tilt your head back a little bit more, creating more resistance. Feeling your hands just gliding. But you're not moving them. They're just kind of moving because the fascia is releasing. And we'll do for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming up. And now let's do the other side. And you can just see, not using any current at all the blood flow that's just happening. So we're going to do the same thing in the back part of the neck, kind of anchoring and holding, and then just at that level 2. So I'm able to move the skin along the muscle, and I'm just kind of going down and up. It's a fairly light touch based on resistance. We're just kind of resisting. And holding. And if you just take the time for the stillness and really kind of feel what's happening in the body, what's happening in that local area, and do you feel it anywhere else? Sometimes you might feel it, you know, as high up in the temples or the top of the head. That's because fascia is continuous over the whole body. It's like one giant pair of pantyhose over our whole entire body. So if there's a kink somewhere, it usually creates a restriction somewhere else. And as you start to kind of feel that stretch move, tilt your head. Letting that go. Inhaling and exhaling. Don't hesitate to go into the scalp if that's where your hands kind of journey you. You're releasing, and as long as you kind of are in tune to what is happening, you're going to get just a really nice stretch. As you tilt your head, you can look a little bit further down to accentuate that stretch. And hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Let's come now to kind of the section on the opposite side. And again, however it's most comfortable. I usually kind of I work with 3 fingers, and we can kind of go, I use like 3 or 4 fingers down. And stretching. Question was just asked, can we do microcurrent on pregnant women? It's not ever been proven one way or another, and I always just don't, because you just don't want to mess with anything. Some people say in the final trimester, but again, I typically don't. But what we're doing here is what I do on pregnant women. I do a full fascial type facial, which is completely safe. And just kind of holding. The hardest part about this is being patient, but it yields the greatest results. And once you kind of know this, we don't have to do it every single session, but we have to do it at least one session. So you start to feel the difference in the results. And go ahead and tilt the head. And again, it's kind of like watching paint dry, but it takes a little bit of effort to get the fantastic results. Doing on yourself is a totally different experience than when you're doing it on your client. They just kind of melt into a different existence. The pressure should be about the weight of your hand as you move down the décolleté. You want to tilt your head back for more of a stretch. Find where you can meet the resistance with a little bit more pull. Going up a little bit more. And holding for 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. When you're practicing this during the week, you can pay a little bit more attention. As a group class, we don't want to spend all the time. So one thing I like to do, you're going to have to follow your manufacturer's instructions. I know the Pico toner, all of the Neurotrus machines are cleared to go over the thyroid. Other machines may not be, so follow your manufacturer's instructions. I'm going to hold right here, and this is where these little bands come together. And I'm just going to use 2 or 3 fingers, and I'm just going to kind of come up. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to release underneath these hyanoid muscles. This is the muscles that bring the mouth down. So when you have a client that really purses their lips a lot, or it's very hollow and tight, this is dehydrated fascia. This is just tension over so many years. So we want to kind of just go underneath and lift. And I do this, you know, like at a red light, or I do it in between clients, because this really, really can just show age so much faster than anything else. It's that hollowing along the jawline. So we want to release that and get that blood flow and that microcirculation reestablished. And again, this isn't something that just happens throughout the days. I'm getting a couple more questions. I said not every session, but how far in between treatments would you not do? I see all your questions. I'm just saying I'm not going to include it in every one of our sessions together on film, because it takes up a lot of time and there's so much that I want to cover on these Monday sessions. But this is something you should definitely learn and you know, kind of pay attention to. And I personally run the current through my fingers. I've done it for nearly 10 years. And I personally haven't felt any weird side effects. I like it better than gloves, but if the gloves are more of a comfort zone for you, what I have done before is I've cut the fingers off, and I don't wear the protective gloves underneath it. This way the current goes through just my fingers, not my whole body. But many times I ground the client and I ground myself, and I work through that way. And I've done that with every machine on the market, and you still get the registration. Every now and then with the mild lifts, their conduction is so sensitive, it won't show, but you still feel it. And we're going to go into the next side, kind of right at that like marionette line, or we're just kind of holding, and we're lifting up. The reason we're spending the time on this is because the lift probe is an excellent probe when you want to kind of plump and lift muscles. So gloves I love gloves for lengthening and massaging, but I love the lift because I wanted a way to really grasp and plump the muscles with the best conductivity. And by the time, you're working with so many probes, I felt that the lift was a device that was just easier on the body. And so there's always a place, a time, and a tool. And so the lift tool, for the consumers, it can be used each and every time. And we're going to go over how to do that. And then we're going to show how you can use the lift probe in your clinic, whether you're using it with one probe or you're using two probes. But in order to really plump the muscle, you have to release the fascia first. You'll get an instantaneous great after photo, but you're not going to get something that lasts, because the fascia, if it's dehydrated and hardened, that kind of goes all the way through, entwining through the muscle. And so there's more fascia than there is muscle. And that's why it's important to release this. And when you do, it's almost as if your clients get a filler. It plumps up their skin, and plump skin is, freed up cells, a lot more circulation nourishing the cells. And for 4, 3, 2, 1. So now we've kind of got more of a V-shaped face. And let's go ahead, and I want you to switch out your units now to your lift. So whatever one you have, get the proper attachment. Let's connect with the lift. Just because I have my machine at home and my Pico Wave at home. Something I really like, though, for those of you that want 2 lifts, you can use Tony's quad cord. And that goes in just one of these. So you've got just 2 attachments, but it branches off, so you can run 2 lifts off of the one cord if you have the Pico Wave. You have the SX3800, you can use 2 attachments and you have the 2 channels, but typically I just work on the 1 channel with the quad cord. It's just less cords that I get confused with. We are making these cords smaller for those of you with the Pico lift, so it's not so cumbersome with so many cords. You always attach the black end to the black pin and the red end to the red pin. Because we're working with a probe, you're going to need some type of conductive gel. If you don't have a conductive gel, if you're a consumer, you can reach out to me and I can give you some suggestions. And temporarily, you could just try a real light conductive gel. The class is going to run over about 15 minutes. I was trying to keep these mornings like right at a half an hour because I know everybody's got things to do, but I also want the class to be valuable. And sometimes you just can't relay the information in a short amount of time, but these are taped and you do get them. So if you can't stay for the whole class, just go ahead and leave and we will send you the video now that we can figure out how to do it. So you've got your little positive and negatives. I kind of wrap them around the handle. And I do that because this way it stays out of your face and it stays out of your client's face. So I wrap it around twice. And it does not matter when using the machine if a positive or a negative is on top. I know with Tony's machines, we've always been taught, positive or negative on top. Because these electrodes are so close together, it doesn't matter. That's what I really like, is each one of these is like an independent electrode. So whether you're going to just use 4 or you're going to use 8 or you're going to, everywhere you're always just using a certain amount and it fits so perfectly on the face. So the first thing that we're going to do is let's go over the neck, because if you were working just with this at home, there is a way to do it. You can manually stretch out your fascia. And then we're just going to kind of go up real slow. And the program I would use would be something like a Tone or a Program 1 on the Pico. We've just been working on, or I've been working on a couple new waveforms with Tony for the Lift Pico that's coming out. And I'm super excited. It will have almost 5 different programs within a program. One will be for building and plumping the muscle, and one is for sculpting and lifting the muscle. We're just kind of going up, and you can see I'm not going fast. And it's so like ungratifying, isn't it? Because we just love to do this. But you can do this warming up if you don't want to use the Anma. It's a great way. But when we're really trying to kind of concentrate on increasing collagen and elastin in such a thin area, I mean, our necks just are such thin tissue, it really helps to go slow. I know one mistake I made in my 30s. I talk about how I started doing microcurrent. I never did my neck because I was like, I don't need it. I sure as hell wish I had. So if you're sitting there just all jolly and happy at 30 with a tight neck, still do microcurrent on it, because one day it does get old. You can start to see kind of that flushing. I'm going to do it one more time. I love to go in 3s. And if you want, you can always take the probes and dip it in water, or you can spray. Yeah, we're going up. I see someone using 2 probes on themselves, which is brilliant, because honestly, you can cut your time in half doing that. It's fabulous. And I'm kind of stopping right at the jawbone, and I stop at the jawbone for so many reasons. The first is you do have your muscle, but a lot of lymph is in this area. And the one thing about the lift is you can go in underneath that, and you can kind of sandwich this. And we're going to work lymph in a second. But anytime I work the neck, I like to just attach right under that jawline. So let's do it one more time, all the way up. And kind of holding. Someone mentioned earlier she felt like the impedance was kind of tough, and she didn't get as much conductivity. I always say then add more water, because when you do add the water, you start to really feel it. Now let's come to the center. We're going to kind of go right, the 4 right there, and the 2 almost around the sternocleidomastoid. We're just going to kind of hold in this area. And I like to hold for 5. So Christina, I want you to have it a little bit more. There you go. Nice. Kind of now we're going to pull back, going all the way towards the back of the neck, like you're giving yourself a neck lift. You can kind of change your hand in there. We're going to pull back all the way up behind the ear, and you're going to hold. I'm kind of holding it like this. You can kind of see I have my thumb and my finger on the top. So we're going to start here again, and we're pulling all the way back, just like you were a plastic surgeon lifting someone's neck. You're going into that occipital area. Those top little balls might be in that area. You can kind of feel, you kind of tilt in. I'm going to do it one last time. Center, right outside the voice box. You can watch. I'm kind of taking it all the way back and up, and I'm just holding. If I were going to use gloves, I would hold one hand back, and I would go back this way. So I would be holding this way. Okay, let's switch to the other side. Going up super slow. Doesn't matter, you know, how you have, if you're gonna bring this like the little prongs forward or back, it's really a personal choice. Remember, these are just independent electrodes emitting the most microcurrent in the cleanest way. We're kind of going up, all the way up underneath that jaw, kind of holding. And we're going to do it again, kind of going up. I would say if we had like a metronome, it would be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then right under the jaw and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, coming up, 2, 3, 4. Something that's kind of nice to do, and I know we don't do it because it's rare a woman will really take that personal time for herself. But to, like, I love Pandora's classical piano or the yoga station, the Zen station. And sometimes just to spend that moment, don't do it in the bathtub, because I tried and I broke like 3 picotoners that way. But you have to kind of do it not in the bathtub, but somewhere you can feel relaxed and really kind of make this a nice meditation for yourself. So now I do want you to take these inner ones right around at the jawline. And we're going to hold, and now we're going to drag. You've got these pressure points right in here. We're going to drag all the way out to the lymph for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're out of the ear and come on down. And go again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down the side. Last time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down to the side. Pick it up to the other side. Kind of holding. Out. I'm going to dip mine again in water. Out. And I do this because I'm not I like conductive gel. I'm a huge fan of Neogenesis because I feel it's light and it's super clean, and I can sometimes cocktail other product in with it. But I'm not a huge conductive gel person that puts like thick layers on a client. The client just feels goopy. They don't like it. And it's just messy. So I'd prefer a thinner film and just add water the whole time. Kind of coming out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Down. Last time. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. And now let's just hold right at that buccinator and rissosaurus. Just kind of holding. Now I like to use the 4 because there's not an angle and I get a pretty good connection. And then I like to go right in that center of the lip and kind of hold in those acupuncture points. And then back. And then I like to drag again. And the reason I do this is when you have all 4, we're amortizing the current through these 4 points. But when I go direct, Now I'm getting a more specific and a stronger signal. So now I like to pull all the way. And what we're doing is we're not lengthening, we're really more plumping this area. So let's hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5. You can angle for the lip and then just drag. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's go down to the jaw and we're just going to airplane up. And I just love this little move. Start to feel we're kind of going in the air, the angle of the zygomatic. We're really just kind of working on the skin and the tissue. Our base of the lift is at that jawline. And now we're going to just kind of bring it over. We're going to use the 4 little prongs. I'm right underneath that cheekbone and I'm right in that eye. And I'm just going to kind of hold right in this area. And you can kind of line it up right at that nose. And that's getting that little muscle that runs down the nose here. You're also getting the orbicularis oculi, and we're getting part of the zygomatics. We're hitting all of these, really toning, and now swish all the way out. So hold, swish all the way out, hold, swish all the way out. And now take all 4 points. We're going to put a point right at the eyebrow, right underneath, kind of to the side of the nose. You'll have another one at the eyebrow and one right at that cheekbone. And we're just going to hold in this area. This is a really great move because the eye muscle pulls in. You know, it's a sphincter muscle, so it closes in. This is one way that we're able to kind of like open this up and really get the current. Microcurrent is safe for the eyes. And in some cases, a trained professional uses microcurrent for molecular degeneration. So just kind of like I'm here, I'm going to take it now to this temple area. And sliding up, and now I'm going to pull back like we all do. Like, what would I look like if I had a facelift? Kind of holding. And then doing that same thing, we're going to kind of take this, kind of airplane this back into the scalp line. You can see I am in my hairline. So I'm kind of pulling it back and then in the hairline. Again, if you need to add water, you know, the hair is going to serve as somewhat of an impedance to the direct connection. You can do it with wet hair. It's probably even better. And now we're going to go to the other side before we start working the forehead. So I'm on the same program and I want to get through this session. We're just going to be using one program, but this is something that you can do this and then you can change your program and do something, you know, do something else. So we went and we cleared the lymph. Now we're going to hold right along that buccinator versus area. And I've got the 4 kind of right lined up. So we're hitting this area and the current is just traveling back and forth. So we talk about the hydrogen and the hydroxyls. They're a positive and a negative, and they love to meet. So they balance each other out. And what happens is the hydrogen continues to work and the hydroxyl stops. So when we remove the current, Hydrogen continues to last for up to 72 hours. The hydroxyl immediately stops. Coming to the center of the lip and dragging out. I've got like real heavy smile lines here, so I like to sometimes just kind of hold in this area, sending a little bit more energy in there. And I'm just kind of dragging across. Once we finish this, we're going to do that 2 more times, going all the way out to the ear, holding. Got everything down. Bringing the tip, dragging out. To the ear. One last time, holding. Take it to the tip, creating that concentrated flow of electrons, just using the 2. And then coming down to that jawline, doing what I call the airplane move. Kind of like you're guiding the airplane into the dock, going back, working into that area. And now we're going to take the 4 prongs right underneath that eye. We're hitting that little muscle down. We're hitting all 4 corners of the zygomatic. We're holding. I think I just thought of like something. I think any current is good current. Anytime you use microcurrent and you're able to charge whatever you can, whether you do it for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if you break up the session into a whole week's worth of time, you're going to benefit you more than if you didn't do it. Coming up to the eye, kind of lifting those corners. Holding. What we're doing here is we're really just letting the microcurrent work its magic. And then coming out to the side. And then sliding up, and I'm in the hairline, pulling my skin back, kind of pulling. But anytime you feel the stinging, you need more current or you need more water or gel. It should never really sting that much. So we're going to finish the lower part of the face and go right to the forehead. So what I like to do is I love to anchor right under that zygomatic and kind of sandwich the major and minor muscles. We're plumping here. We're just really kind of getting a nice little plumping. And we won't do it now, but you can always kind of just glide. Again, you've got the power of the 4 electrodes, or 6 in my case, because it doesn't touch in the back. And then you can kind of go all the way up. Let's do the other side. See how that just starts to really lift in that area, kind of sandwiching. So I'm lifting up that tissue in that muscle, and I'm sandwiching that in there. I think I saw a question go by, why the lift over other probes? One, I like using just one hand and able to do, when I'm in the treatment room, 2 sides at one time. But also when you have a probe like this, the microcurrent goes all the way through here. And so it's diversified and amortized through a whole thing. It's more effective when you just have points of contact and then you're dragging, you're getting more efficient current versus having it just kind of flushed through the whole probe. So I love the way the Anma felt. When I created the Anma, I always knew I would create a probe. And then after that, I always knew I'd create a microcurrent unit out of this. And that's about 18 months away. And you can pull up. And now for the eyebrows, I like to do the same thing. I like to attach right under that brow and lift up. And now the same kind of thing, we're just going to kind of swoosh up, pull, swoosh up, pull, swoosh up, pull, swoosh up, going to the other side, kind of lifting up. Eyes are great because the tissue is so thin that you really can kind of create a subtle change through kind of hydrating that tissue and building more collagen and elastin. A lot of it does depend on your age and your health. I mean, your cells replicate and mirror each other. So if your cells aren't in good shape, it can take 3 cycles, 3 months of microcurrent to boost the integrity of the cell. So while you do see some immediate results, true results happen when you continue to do the current. So we're kind of holding, going back, holding, going back, last time holding, going back. Now let's just go right in that hairline. And for those of you that ever worked with biotherapeutic or any of some of their first moves are always in that scalp line. I love to do it in the scalp line. I try to do this lift in my scalp. It's great for people that are bald, but it can get tangled in your hair, so you have to be careful. I'm going to kind of go back in here. And back. Next side. Finally, down to the side of the crown, kind of pulling all of this back. Another favorite move I like to do kind of as an add-on or an ending is I always will take the fork kind of right in between those eyebrows and I just kind of lift up in this area, and it feels really good with the client. Kind of hits those pressure points. And you can hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drag it all the way back into the hairline and hold. And then you can kind of see it's like I've got a little trail. So I'm just going to go to that outer side and lift the corner of the brow up. And dragging back again into the hairline. And the finishing move is the other side, coming up. And dragging all the way into the hairline. And that is today's session. So try, if I know this was a little bit longer than what we normally do, but if you want to break it up, try to do this, commit to yourself 2 more times this week. I will make sure that it gets sent to you within the next hour. You have it to practice and to try. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to respond to the email that's sent to you. Next week, we are working with the, I think we're working with MyoLift. So if you have a MyoLift, we're going to show you how to work with the MyoLift. They have a new hand tool, but I will know more as soon as I look at the schedule. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for joining me and happy lifting this week. Take those before pictures.
Thank you.